Uh-oh.
All right. Live today, and there's two of us, two Canadians in the house today, from actually across the continent. We're not even in the same vicinity. I'm in Canada, not Heather. I'll explain why Heather's here. She is Canadian. If any Canadians in the house, say hello to us in the chat box. But today we are really talking a lot about building great communities digitally, and also how to connect authentically with an audience that you really want to have as your tribe members in your business. So whether you're starting your business for the first time and launching a social media channel, for example, or maybe you have a business, but you aren't inviting the right people into your business, this conversation is going to be super important for us to discuss today. And I'm thanking everyone for coming here live to join us. Now, we are sort of as we wait for more people to join us live. You might be watching this from one of our other social media channels. Heather and I are currently in Crowdcast, which is the platform we use to broadcast these sorts of tribe talks or webinars we've ran in the past. So it's a little bit more incubated in an experience. We can help you get a good experience when you join us. But if you're watching this as a live stream in our Facebook page or our YouTube channel or wherever else we've planted it, please come on over to the Crowdcast platform. There's a link that should be there, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. You can come join us live and in person here, because here's where we're going to actually be able to hear you and know what you're questioning us on for the Q&A, because after this is done, she finished our interview with Heather. We're going to be taking your questions around how you can build your online, really be able to engage your audience and lead them to go from fans of your work to buying customers of your product or your services. So come on over to Crowdcast. There should be a link above or below the video in the post as well. Now, if you're in Crowdcast, do say hello to us in the chat box. Let us know your name, where you're from. What are you most excited to learn about? And what could be your questions for Heather and I as you start this conversation with us? But where you can also, so I'll take you a little bit of a tour of Crowdcast quickly before we get started. When you look at us, you'll see us in the middle. There's a chat box on the right. There's also an ask a question menu item right underneath the video where you can actually submit your questions ahead of time so we can actually see it. Hi, Cal. Nice to see you. I think is Cal in KL, same as you, Heather?
Yeah.
I think Cal's part of our community. So we have a KL person woken up early. Yeah. You're from the future, Cal. Well, I'm still Monday night over in Canada. For once, I'm actually backwards in time. So use the Ask a Question tab to ask a question. And why you might do that is because, A, we can timestamp it for you so you can go straight to the answer when you watch the replay. But also if you're like, I don't know, taking care of the kids, cooking dinner, doing something where you can't be with us the entire time, we can still make sure to get your questions answered. And then when we email you the replay, if you've signed up, you will get access to the answer with a timestamp, which is awesome. Please take a look at our poll today as well. Our question for you today is, why is it most important for you to use social media and to build an audience? Pick one of the 4 answers that you are having some problems with right now, or your goals that you really want to have for your social media channels, and let us know what's most important to you. These polls really help us to create even better content for you next time, and hopefully we'll get Heather back, and then we can go lasers focus into some of the major questions that we definitely have. Key Sit is here as well, which is great. I think he's also from Southeast Asia. Penang, right, my hometown, I remember now. Laksaville. If no one knows what a laksa is, Google it. It will sound disgusting, but it's amazing and the most tastiest thing you've ever put in your mouth. Okay, and then if you can help us share this chat show and this training to anyone that's interested to do social media better, please, for the love of God, let's do social media better so that all of us can reap the benefits of having great conversations that we can look at on the newsfeed rather than just all the Trumpville news that we see these days. So let's change the conversation. Invite your friends to come and learn, and we can workshop some ideas together here as well. So if you're in Crowdcast, all you have to do is press the invite button on the top right-hand corner, and you can share with any of the platforms that you're usually at that will take them through into Crowdcast. It's obviously a free sign up, and they can have access to a lot of the trainings that we'll have in the future as well, which we offer absolutely complimentary and free every single month for us here at the community of Screw the Cubicle. Okay, so replay will be sent. Ask your questions ahead of time now as they pop into your head. Say hello in the chat box and let us know what you're most excited to learn today. And we are here for you in the next hour or so to help you really build authentic communities in your business. So this Tribe Talk, if you've been here before, you know what Tribe Talks are about. We run them once a month here at Screw the Cubicle. But this Tribe Talk is brought to you by the Academy of Cubicle Crashers, which is our flagship community program at Screw the Cubicle, where we help you to create your transition plan from the 9-to-5, create a meaningful business that where you do work that really matters, and be part of an intimate community to create, grow, and launch your business. So Heather, who you see here, is one of our Cubicle Crasher students at the Academy. So this is a taste of the types of conversations we usually have as a tribe together. And as we leverage this collective intelligence of community, we are really happy to have Heather here to share her wisdom and also her corporate escape journey so far. And FYI, we actually officially just opened doors for our final intake for the Academy. We officially start on August the 6th, but we're taking enrollment in now, which means you get to chat with me. We interview every single student before we invite them into the Academy. So check out the button below this video to find out more about our 6-month community program, where we help you with a 6-phase framework to go from creation to launch of your business. And you get to do this with personal mentorship with me for a whole 6 months, including the collaboration with an intimate community of like-minded people, just like Heather and your peers as well. So you are here to really learn how to engage and connect with your audience. So whether you're starting a new business with a new audience or trying to sort of revive, put some, support into the audience you already have, but maybe nothing's going on, there's crickets going on in your social media channels, this is an excellent training for you to be attending. So Heather's with me today, so we're going to do a sort of interview, we just have a chat, really. That's why it's called the chat show. But what she's going to be laser focusing on today is answering the question of why it takes time to develop and engage community on any social platform, why there's also a no one size fits all formula, right? And that's really great to talk about what your formula should look like for how you want to engage your community. We're going to be chatting about how a viable community needs to be built on true values for its members so that they refer people and become a lifelong follower of your work. We'll be talking about why offering your services or your products is easier to an engaged community, but it shouldn't be the number one priority, and what to do. We'll chat about how the community really must serve the needs and wants and desires of your tribe. What they think they want versus what they actually want may be two very different things. Loving that conversation already. And then lastly, why silence? If you're experiencing that cricket effect that I just talked about, why silence from some of your community members doesn't always necessarily mean that they are not listening. They're what we call lurkers in the social media realm. So we're going to talk a lot more about how you can revive some of that relationship with the lurkers. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our Tribe Talk guest, Heather Pollock. Heather works with purpose-driven entrepreneurs, helping them to authentically communicate and connect with their community online. She believes that instead of building a list, you should be building a community. Because in this day and age of rampant social media channels and online activities, she believes there's a way to develop authentic and engaged communities, even with people who you have never met. So she runs a small social media business advising solopreneurs on effective strategy for utilizing social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram, with a strong focus on community building. So community, connection, and conversations are the pillars of her work, and that underpins a lot of what she advises on and what she really builds her strategies on. And we are so very excited to have you here, Heather. Thank you so much for waking up early and being with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here too.
Yeah, we get to talk about something that frustrates both of us, but also motivates both of us to sort of change the game, right? We're all about disruption here, for how people are doing things online, hey, you don't need to be this like crazy digital marketer to be able to be a great social media person, right? And how we can change the definition of what social media can mean for you, what marketing can mean for you, and really focus on more holistic practices of engagement. Because at the end of the day, we're not dealing with just someone's laptop. We're dealing with a human, on the other side of the entire thing. So I think that part of humanizing how we plan out content, how we engage, how we do our social media posts, to right, how do we show up really on our online presence for our business, I think really matters, right, in the results that we actually really, really want. Well, to get started, for people who don't know you, you've been a part of our community for a while, so hopefully they do. But why don't we start by you telling us a little brief story about your cubicle escape journey and how your transition has led you to the work that you're choosing to pursue today.
So thanks, Lydia. My cubicle escape, I think, was a little bit of a drawn out one, to be honest. It's been in the works for a long time. And I like to say the universe stepped in and gave me the kick and the push off the ledge that I needed. So I'd started a new job last year and got made redundant. And I am Canadian, like you said, but I haven't lived in Canada for a long time. So where I was living when I lost my job was not my home country. So it also meant that I had to leave the country when I lost my job. So basically everything changed very quickly. So I had to make a lot of quick decisions and, did one of those things that you read about online where people sold everything and gave away everything they had and packed everything into 2 suitcases, bought a one-way ticket to Asia, and I've been here ever since. So when I landed in Asia, I had a few months of, enjoying Asia and kind of just relaxing and detoxing from my corporate time up till then, and then decided I'd better figure out some way to start making some money. So I'd been playing with some business ideas for a long time. I was still in the beta phase of another business that I was looking at doing. And I just kind of stumbled into this social media management realm. Really as a way to kind of make some quick money. And I found out that it's actually led me to these bigger conversations and this bigger passion that I didn't really know kind of existed through this tool and this medium of social media. So it's led me from just kind of being a manager of social media to wanting to have these bigger conversations with people and really get back to the idea of community and conversation and connection, because I do believe this is a way that we can do this through social media, which a lot of people give a bad rap to, and Facebook and Instagram and all these fake people and everything. You can't believe anything you see. And but the reason why I believe that is because I've been connected through social media to people. I belong to communities. I've been in groups and online communities that I have made real connections with, both the facilitator and the people in the communities. So it's something that I feel really passionate about, and I'm on a mission now to have better conversations about social media and how we can better utilize it as entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, purpose-driven people running businesses through online platforms.
Yeah. I love that you share that story because, as you already notice in the business building journey, ideas are, they morph, right? And they sort of, evolve into bigger things. But it's that first step of like recognizing like what you can do and exploring through the rabbit hole of curiosity, what it is that you might be drawn to. And then sometimes that leads to another door, right? Where it's like a branch of what you started with, right? And then you sort of, go after that. And in a way, a lot of the themes around what you care about when it comes to community and connection and all that was also in a way appearing in your first business. Because I remember, working on it with you in the beginning, but what sort of feels more genuine and more in line, right, with what you think you want to carry out that work into today, has led you to more what I call like social storytelling. Right?
Yes.
That I think is so much more of a better title for you than like social media strategist or social media coordinator. Like, you are a social storyteller. Like, you're helping people tell better stories through even, more formalized processes like sales, right? That doesn't have to be this formal feel of how you sell something. It can be very much infusing the idea of story that changes the way people take on that information, how they remember and retain information as well through storytelling, which I think is really the future of communication. We see the growth of video starting in digital marketing, not because just it's a snazzy video, because they aren't. They're just like live streams or little raw videos that people take, at the park or something. But what that's helping people do is be in your world. All of a sudden, they're in your kitchen. They're in your living room. I mean, there's mine right behind me. There's like people following you around the world and being able to still communicate with you. But you're really enhancing that social experience as a community with you through some of these live interactions, right? Which is like what we're doing today is so much more interesting than just reading a whole blog post and hopefully you get it, right? And so this is one form, in a way, of social media marketing right here when we're actually having, right, these interviews that are going on. Now, Heather, you've been sort of obviously a consumer role where you've bought things through social media. You've, as you said, connected to communities and other facilitators through social media. And then you've also been a part of helping other business owners really show up, right, in this authentic level in their social homes. On the internet. Now, from your experience of being a consumer, from your experience of being this help and support to business owners in their social media management, what do you think is sort of the biggest misconception people have when using social media to gain an audience? So this could be like mistakes they usually make, myths that they're told, that has sort of perpetuated this sort of salesy, sleazy way of social media coordination.
Well, there's a few, but they're kind of all in the same theme.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest mistake people make is thinking that if you post it, they will come.
Right.
So you can't just be posting up stuff on a Facebook page and expecting that people are going to respond to it just because it's on your Facebook page and it's you. So part of that other flip side of that is that people mistakenly believe that everything that they're saying is of value to someone else. So what you're talking about may be of value, but it might be the angles and the information you're providing. So a lot of people that I'm working with, I'm seeing they're missing a whole huge step before they start doing their social media. And that is really, truly understanding the pain points of their audience and their communities. So it's one thing to say, here's a bunch of information and here's a article and here's a blog post and here's a cute video and here's whatever, and just kind of filling up your feed,
right?
Because you're trying to play with the Facebook algorithm and you're trying to get organic reach through stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and you want just people to which is essentially another form of clickbait because you're trying to pad your own organic reach through the algorithm, playing with the algorithms. But what people don't understand is often when you're an expert and you're sharing information that is of value, sometimes your angle of it is not quite what your audience wants. So instead of asking the questions to really find out what your audience wants to find out about, people are just kind of spewing out information from this level when they actually might need to be just slightly lower or answering from this kind of angle. So I'm finding that a lot of people are thinking more information is better when really it should be quality, not quantity.
Right.
And that's what I'm finding is the kind of the biggest mistake, aside from also people just believing that social channels are still easy. This day and age, everything we do is through social media. Everything. I don't care what it is. Like you're talking to your mom through social media. Like how many people actually pick up the phone these days and talk to like the friends back in Canada? I'm sending you messages through Facebook, know, so everything we do, we're being sold to, we're being connected to, we're having conversations through, we're seeing plights of our, our world in here. We're seeing politics, we're seeing everything through social media. And on the good side of that, this, I believe, is connecting people around the world. On the kind of flip side and the tricky side is, as a business owner, you have to understand that people have the luxury of being choosy and being selective about what they're going to interact with. And if it's not really hitting the mark because you haven't taken the time to ask the questions and do a bit of research beforehand to find out what your community really wants, it's very easy for me to just not even engage with that. I might just keep scrolling past it on my newsfeed. So I think a lot of people are still thinking that social media is a place where you just throw up information and everyone in the world is going to start engaging with it. And that's not true at all. That's, I think, one of the biggest, even now, in the misconceptions. And social media is still really young. It's not something that has actually been around for a long time, but in its very short lifespan, it has gone through many changes and cycles already. So what worked 5 years ago doesn't work now. What worked 6 months ago might not work now, because
fast speed change.
It is. And it is like the ultimate form of like ever evolving AI. Like it's responding to the people and everything's just changing week by week. So understanding that it's a dynamic relationship that you have with these channels and with the people. And so even for your community, what worked 6 months ago might not work now, because the conversations have evolved and the connections have evolved and the people in the group have changed. So you need to constantly be checking in with your community to make sure that you're still having the conversations that they find valuable, or providing the information they find valuable.
I think that's so big because, I mean, if you know me as well, Heather, like I'm all about asking questions, right? How many ask campaigns have we gotten you to do as part of the academy? It's like, if you don't know the answer, you ain't talking to enough people. That's always the problem. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know what's a question that potentially people would have. It's like, I do want to ask better questions in my community. I do want to involve my audience into the creation of my content. And, that definitely feels easier than trying to come up with all those angles all by myself. Now, what would you recommend in terms of like, how can we start asking questions? Do we just post a question? Is it a poll? Is it an ongoing thing we keep doing? What are some advice that you have around how do we involve our community to create better content for them?
All of the above. So really, the answer is there's no secret formula. I love to get on here and say, this is how you do it, and here's the secret, chick, and you've got the template. But the truth is, because we're dealing with human beings and we're dealing with communities, it's not an easy answer. It might be an easy answer. You might hit it on the head straight away with your community, but chances are the people who hit a home run straight away with asking questions is because they probably already know their community. So if you're not really sure about, perhaps you have this group. Let's just say you just have a Facebook page, not even a private group. You have a Facebook page. You're, a coach. Maybe you're some sort of coach. You're doing something to help people. You're offering a service-based product. You've got people they're kind of liking, they're kind of engaging on stuff. You're posting articles, maybe photos, maybe quotes. It's a little bit hit and miss. You do have to start asking them questions. And I believe it can be as simple as in your status, typing a question, like, whatever it might be, and asking them to comment. But again, it's going to depend on your audience. So maybe your audience might respond to polls, but you're not going to know unless you try it. So just put a poll up, ask a question, make it easy. And please, for the love of God, don't make everything super serious. That's the other thing. I think everybody's so trying to like dig into these like really painful pain points, or like this. Can just ask like, where is everybody in the world? Or, get the conversations going. I think that's what's also missing.
Getting it started.
And I like to equate like your social channels as having like a dinner party. If you invited people over to your house, or if you invited me to your house and you were like, hi, Heather, sit down. I'd like to talk to you about the biggest challenge that you're having this week. And let's talk this out. God, if you did that to me every time I came over, I'd probably stop coming to your house. Because
you're like, I'm being recruited for one of these multi-level marketing things.
Or something, or like, I just want to have a chat, Lydia. Like, let's just talk about, that funny dress video. Is it blue or is it yellow? Like, I mean, let's talk about what's happening in the world. And I think that's what's missing is just conversation. Yes, you need to have that part of the conversation and ask those questions, but you also need to remember these are human beings that whether we like it or not, this is how we're getting a lot of our engagement in the world. We are communicating and talking and connecting through social media. So we still need to treat that like it's a conversation with a human being, whether we're typing it or voice noting it or, live streaming on a page. Still treat this like you're having a conversation with somebody in your house.
And nothing always I think the content doesn't always need to be specific to like, here's the thing that leads people to the offers, right? It doesn't have to be always pain points of a customer. Sometimes they're actually desire points of a customer, not painful. Like, it's just like we together collectively are valuing these things, right? So for example, one of the things that we do a lot at our channels are things about travel. Like where would you like to have a home base? What does it mean for you to have freedom and a location independent life, right? So it's, again, we're not, giving you the step-by-step. We don't have anything that gives you a step-by-step to be a digital nomad, for example, but we do know that's a shared value that I have with my customers, even though I'm not I'll make you a digital nomad in 6 months sort of girl. And it's nothing to do with the content that I sell, but actually everything to do with the connection, right? That you will resonate with by being a part of that tribe, right? Because everyone wants to build a business. We already know that, but sometimes why they want to build a business, what is it all for, how they want to build that business, that could be a little bit more specific, right? That you can be doing posts or, messaging about in your social channel so that they can self-select that, hey, I belong in this community because of that thing that I really like about you.
And also, if you are, we all are here, we're running businesses, we are here to make money. I'm not faulting anybody for that, but I'd much rather buy something from someone that I have a trust factor with. And I'm going to develop that trust factor through these conversations. through, like you said, through commonalities, through things we like, through shared values. I'm not going to know that unless you're having those conversations with your people. If you're on there and just sell, here's my offer, here's my thing, here's my article, here's my blog post. Well, that's great. And I like what you're spitting out, but why would I give you my money if I don't really feel like a connection to you? Consumers they have the luxury now to be that picky, where I want to have a personalized connection with the person that I'm going to be working with. And particularly these service-based things like this is not just here's an e-course, see you later. You work with these people a lot. Right. So if I'm going to be spending time on the phone with you and talking and checking in with you every week, I kind of want to feel like I do have a connection to you. And the only way I'm going to know that is to kind of test run it through these other social channels. That gives me the opportunity to get to know Lydia as the person rather than just Lydia, the expert and the business owner.
That's right.
Which I need to know as well. But,
yeah, absolutely. And I think also, on a consumer point of view, people buy based on emotion. Right. And then it's logic to, be like, I need, here's the desire that's an emotional pull to buy something as an instinctive feeling. And then we logically make that happen. Right. Where it's like, okay, I really need that because this is what I want. Here's what I can afford. And I want to engage, right, this person. Because you're buying, especially as personal brands, I think, too, you're really buying not just the product, right, or the course or the content. You're buying an experience with this person. So the individual needs to, it's like going on a date. You don't date everybody, just like you don't work with just everybody, right? We have to ease our way into, as you said, right? Bad etiquette to be on a social dinner party, be like, hey, we're going to go straight to business. We're going to talk about this and that. The same thing you do in a date. You don't go, okay, we're going to go straight to business. You come home. We figure it out. We're going to make babies together. Yeah. It's true. Maybe if you do that, but you know what you're getting. But if you're wanting sustainable relationship, right, long-term, genuine relationship, then it's sort of easing into that conversation and getting to know each other, sharing things that are personal, especially if you're a personal brand, because they are buying you. Right? As the visionary, they're buying you as the advisor. And if all you talk about are your features and, your product constantly all the time, that's not going to always hit the mark for people who need that social and emotional connection, right? To pull out their credit card and actually buy something in a good way, right? Not in a tricky way, but really I want that because you really have what I want, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about, for business owners that are starting, a business for the first time and starting social media channels for the first time, but also really people that have sort of done social media by posting a bunch of stuff, things that you say are sort of not the right way to do it, but being more, we want to have them more prepared to be having some sort of a formula for themselves, right? Of how they're going to spend time, effort, and attention to building and engaging their communities online. So how do we as business owners really figure out what is our formula, what works for us in our business, so we can start thinking about that right now instead of adopting what everyone else is doing out there? What do you think we have to start considering or asking questions around for ourselves to figure out that formula for building a great brand online, leveraging our social media channels, and creating a really engaged community?
I think there's lots of things that you can do. So I think the first thing is really being clear with yourself about what value you want to provide to this community. So whether the community exists or not, really what value. So not what you want to sell them, but what kind of value and information that you want to give them. And this might look different from the community side. So as a business owner, you often think you know what people want or what they're asking for. And we make assumptions, and then we go out and we give the information, and it might just hit or miss the mark a little bit. So you really have to be asking questions. I'm really, really becoming a staunch believer in conversation, asking questions, asking better questions, and taking the time. I think a lot of times people go, oh, it's social media, it's a quick win, get everything up. I'm just going to start a Facebook page, and by next week I'll be a millionaire. But there's a big gap of time in there where people aren't taking the time and effort and energy to actually establish this community. So none of us are creating community out of thin air in the sense that, being if you're say a leadership coach, you're not creating that community. That community exists. What you need to do is attract the people that are your community and your tribe to you. So you need to be able to figure out exactly what kind of conversations they're having, what kind of words they're using. And you need to be a real person. So we were talking just before about how, showing that you're a human being and flaws and all. So it doesn't mean you need to get on and air all your dirty laundry online, but you do need to show a bit of vulnerability to show these people that you're, a human being and you've kind of been where they've been. And I also think that people relying 100% on social media, on the channel itself to do the communicating is a bit of a mistake. So even if you took it offline, so if you did have a little bit of an email list, or you were, you can contact these people maybe, outside of social media, if you had a way to do that, to ask them questions. Just say, I'm building this community. I've started this thing. Can I interview you? Can I ask you, I'll get you on the phone for 15 minutes. I'd love to hear your feedback on some of these questions I have. And then listening to the actual words that they're saying and using that as a means of communicating. Because like I said again, and I won't give specific examples of anybody that I know, but there's people that I'm working with that they're putting out information, and I'm just thinking it's not quite right. People can't identify with that, or it's
too jargony maybe, or
it's way too jargony. There's a gap of missing information. Perhaps the wording is too negative. Like oftentimes people are too busy trying to highlight pain points. And on a public platform like this, I don't necessarily want to identify myself with that negative thing.
Sure.
So I don't want to go on and like your post, because my friends are going to see I like that post, and then they're going to know I'm having that problem. So it's about the wording, and it's about how you're communicating. I truly believe this is all about communication. It's all about conversations, and it's just really being a human being at the end of the day. Stop hiding behind your laptop in a sense that, you just think that you're the vessel of it. It goes back to teaching. I used to be a teacher, so I often talk like this when
that comes back to help a little bit for you.
Rather than being the person at the front of the room that knows all the information and talking to my people, I want to talk with them. And I think that's the mistake people are making is, yes, you are absolutely an expert. And yes, you've got some experience I don't have. That's why I'm in your community. But I don't want to be talked at all the time. I want to be talked with.
Yeah, I love that. Just putting that tip in our chat box. Don't just talk to your people, but talk with your people, right?
Yeah.
Which is a sense of collaboration, a sense of contribution, which I think is super important for residents these days. Now, why don't we give people some examples? Because I think when we're thinking about, hey, creative ways we can, tell better stories, engage, ask questions, after we've done all that, it's like there's still sometimes a missing gap of information or ideas that we have. It's like, well, what should I do? Because, Lydia's doing live streams there. Someone else is doing this other thing. Should I start a YouTube channel? Should I do a podcast? There's like so many options, out there for someone to consider. But so what was your personal advice about picking the right platforms to be in based on is it your personality? Is it where your business audience is? Like, how do we sort of decide which platforms? Because I'm not a big believer in, especially as a solopreneur, to be on every single platform, because that gets overwhelming and it's not always conducive to our efforts. And then the second part of that question is, what are some ideas that, when you have been, you're a supporter of brands, you've been a buyer and a consumer and a strategist for solopreneurs building their brands. Like, what has been some of examples of the best ways to engage an audience that people can start, maybe we implant that seed a little bit for them to maybe think that could be possible for how they manage their channels too?
Yeah. So I think that one of the key things is especially if you're starting out, find one channel and do it well. Don't try and spread yourself thin, across all these channels, because take it from me, they are beasts among themselves. So, what you think works on Facebook doesn't work on Instagram, doesn't work on YouTube. They're all different. They all have different algorithms. They all have different ways of working. And it's a lot more complicated than people think. So, to be able to do it well, anybody can start a YouTube channel. Anybody can start a Facebook page. But to be able to really understand it, these are there's basically little universities you can attend, learn how to do Facebook, learn how to do YouTube, because there's that much information to know. And also the different platforms, I think, should be used for different purposes. So I think Facebook is really good for education and kind of showing real life and kind of sharing information and value with your people. And say something like Instagram is really good for inspirational stuff and showing much more visual stuff. So I don't think that if you did have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, you shouldn't be carbon copying and putting the same thing on both. Right. Because we are also in
what you do for each platform.
Yeah. So obviously it might be the same themes and the same ideas, but you have to present it in a different way depending on the platform, because there's nuances to the platform. And there's, I've noticed actually as well, there's often a really clear distinction about who is on the different platforms. And it can come right down to demographics, like for age and like, you know, location in the world, to just people's preferences for what they want from you. So some people might just want a little bit more of a surface, you know, information. Like there's lots of things on Instagram that I follow that I really like because I'm a visual person and I'm really drawn to their well laid out feeds, and, you know, I like the stuff, but I'm not probably going to be their consumer. I'm not going to be a buyer. But then there's things on Facebook that I know that if I go to, it's a little bit of a library. So if I go, I can access previous videos. I can see the last blog posts. I can, you know, look for stuff on that page that I know I'd seen before. And it's a little bit more of an educational resource place now for Facebook. So pick one and do it well, and then maybe branch out to two, but I'd say focus on one. And then really think about what your business is. You know, are you business to business? Are you business to consumer? You know, what is it that you're doing? Because I can guarantee you, if you're targeting, you know, women in their 40s and 50s who are professionals and work in corporate, they're probably not on Facebook. Like they're probably on LinkedIn. They actually might even be on Instagram, which is something I've figured out, is like, there's, you know, people that we think we make assumptions where people are sitting or where they're hanging out on the social channels, and it's not always correct either. So there's always a level of research that has to go into it. So be really selective and be really focused on what the purpose of your business is and the purpose of your community is, and use that as a channel, deciding which channels are going to be best suited for you. Yeah. And then really from there, it's, you know, I'm not going to gloss over the fact that you do need to figure out how to use the channel. So there is a lot of information out there about all these different channels, but you do have to understand how they work. So something like Facebook, you do have to get a little bit, I'm not going to say technical, but you kind of have to understand how Facebook works, how they show posts, how things are shared, you know, what the analytics look like. Not in depth, and don't go get a degree in Facebook, but Facebook is actually they've actually come out publicly and said that they're trying to help create a better experience for people on Facebook. So as a business owner, Facebook is providing you with tools and resources and ways to make the experience for your community better. So it only benefit you to understand what those are and to really be utilizing them well through Facebook, because Facebook isn't the devil. It's actually trying to make things better for people and trying to help bring communities together. They publicly have said they want to start fostering more communication and authentic conversations between people, rather than having this focus on just sales, business. So, you know, whether or not regardless of what your opinion is on social media, I do believe it can be there to help you. And I do believe if you embrace it and are prepared to put some time in to learn it, that it can be a really useful and valuable way for you to communicate with your community.
Well, I think
and it's just time. I mean, you know,
and I think that's why the beginning, in the start of a business, I think, like what you said, right? Find one channel and do it well. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is because you actually need to sort of master it to some degree so that you can actually do this well, right? Rather than start like 3 channels and be doing it like 30%, you know, effectiveness, right? Which then doesn't equal to anything. You're only getting 30% of results, when actually if you go all in and actually commit to a platform and do that, you know, make up a plan for it, have a strategy for it, be able to track the progress of what's happened with some of the strategic actions you've done for each channel, then you can decide in 3 months' time, you know, or so, that this is the channel that you back. Or if you're like, you got a routine going on, it works really well, then you can add on another channel at that time, because you're not so focused on learning and you're not so focused on, trying to figure out what the hell is happening with this channel. Because as you said, it's not just one of those things where if you post it, they will come, especially in the beginning. There's a lot of manual labor, in a sense, to invite people to watch, to invite people to join your groups or your page, and do a little bit more effort, because you're not yet known as someone. It's true, right? So that's always going to take time, right? And same thing, even if you are somebody, and even if you have like 1,000 people on your Facebook page, but what are likes really? Are they really people that like you? Or, you know, how are they engaging, and what else could you be producing to find that engagement or deepen that engagement level with them? So there's still work to be done there of like putting a plan together and, again, knowing what to do on the platform, right? That allows you to scale your time better and actually know every week, here's what I'm doing. It works. I don't have to sort of go, what should I do today? Right? There's sort of a method to the madness, right, of social media, because if not, it can totally get out of control. and it can start to actually really seep into your day if you're just sort of doing it whenever you feel like it, right? Rather than having a much more structured schedule for it.
Consistency is definitely key.
Yeah. And then the second part of the question, which is sort of the examples of ways to engage a group, right? Whether you're a new business owner or an existing business owner. Now, one of my favorite things that I've really liked from Facebook itself is the live stream component. I've loved the live stream component, especially with the add-on feature apps for that. So for example, I have a MacBook. I use a great third-party app called Ecamm Live, which like piggybacks on the Facebook live streams from Facebook, but they have like this amazing offline, almost like a production studio, super easy. And you can build like scenes. It's almost like you have a show and you can produce it yourself. And you could have animation, you could have video, you could have guests that are streamed in, just like you could really like, the whole thing looks like a complete production. And it's actually just a couple clicks of a button to make it happen, which has been so amazing for the way that, so for example, I hosted a 5-day Kickstart Your Side Hustle challenge last week, and we used Ecamm for that. And it made it a lot more interactive. PowerPoint slides. Like I'm there in the corner, you can see my talking little head out of the scene. Like it makes people actually want to stay and learn till the very end, rather than just the static like copy and image, slideshow that you see in PowerPoints. What has been what have you seen that's really some good creative ideas of how people have shown up online and have been able to engage their communities?
Yeah, so I think video is always good. So I think video for several reasons, because again, there's so much happening online. We need something that's going to be like a bit of a pattern breaker. So if I'm scrolling through, or I get notifications from a group or a page that I follow, if it's just another post or it's another article, yeah, it might be interesting, but I might read that later. If it's a video or a live thing that's happening and I can click on it and just get into it straight away and actually see that person, like as a human being, I'm personally a lot more drawn to that. And these days people are really selective, but two, really busy. So anything that we can do to kind of make it easier for them, I hate to say this, but kind of spoon feed the information to them. So even if it's a little video, there's lots of programs now too you can use to create like little videos that aren't live, but they're, they've got graphics, they've got words, and it's a little 1-minute video that provides some information on a topic that the people can watch. And 9 times out of 10, you got to remember, people are on their mobile and they're on the train, they're on the bus, they're at the office, they're watching it with no sound, unfortunately for you often. So things like making sure you have captions on there so people can read it. Anything that basically is just going to be able to provide the information in a way that is easily consumable to the people watching.
So does that mean,
and really
anything videos and like subtitles that are easy to watch if it's on mute, that sort of thing? Like what are those specifics that will make it easily digestible for social communities?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like attention spans are short. So, and I'm guilty of this too. So I would say if you're looking to communicate with your audience through video, it would be quick, short, like 2 minutes or less video, things with graphics or captions on the screen so that, it can help me read it, or if I'm watching it without sound, I can see it. But also we want to get to the point quick. So, if I'm doing a quick 2-minute video, I would have a graphic that would come up and say what the topic of the video is, or what question I'm answering, or, whatever it is, without a lot of preamble.
Right.
So I hate to burst a lot of people's bubbles, but a lot of times people don't want to know your background info. So like, don't get on and go, hi, I'm Heather and I'm a social media strategist and this is what I've done for the last, nobody cares. I want to know the question you're answering because I want that information. Right. I want that information now and I want it quick. So just answer the question and get off, because quite frankly, if you're still talking after 2 minutes, a lot of people are going to check out.
Right.
So I would say basically, because we're in such a saturated realm now with social media, you have to find something that's going to break the pattern and break the, catch people's attention. So video's good, graphics are good, colors are good, consistency is good. So if you have a brand that you're using, all of your, say videos or graphics or whatever should have those brand colors and that branding in it, so that if I am scrolling through and I am a big fan of whoever, if I see that pop up, I want to go back because I know Lydia's got a new thing this week. I'm going to click on that and I'll see it really quickly because I'll recognize it from the branding that I know from you. And I also think that on things like, I'd be hard pressed to find a person that probably doesn't check in on social media every single day, multiple times a day. And again, this would be a whole nother chat show, but we're all checking it first thing in the morning. We're all getting on social media channels. It's almost like television. So I think consistency is key. If I know every week on Wednesday morning, that person's going to go live and they're going to do, even if it's just a 5-minute video, I'm probably going to be checking in. And if I can't watch it, I'll know enough to go back to check in on it later because I missed it. So the consistency of knowing what's coming. And I think that's how you build community with your people, with your audience, is they know what to expect. So like you said, if you're just kind of randomly showing up and posting this and posting that, and there's really no system or strategy, people's brains kind of don't really respond to that. But when we do respond to patterns, we respond to routine, we respond to what we like to know what's coming next in a sense. So if I know every Monday this person does that, every Tuesday this person does that, I'm more inclined to also check in on it and find out where it is. Like if you miss a Monday, I might be messaging going, hey, Lydia, I missed your live stream this morning. Where were you? Like, oh, that's cool. People are paying attention to me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So I think just don't be so gimmicky. Like, don't be afraid to not be gimmicky. Like, just be real. Like, have, branding is important. Consistency is important. Real engagement is important. I want to be able to see you as a human being. Video is really good. Anything that can kind of catch people's attention, but also be mindful of their time. You don't want to be posting something that's an hour long unless it's for a really specific reason and it's kind of been led up to, not every week. I mean, lots of times we can have webinars or we can have talks, we can have things, but if it's just kind of something on your page and it's a quick stream, let's just keep it quick and short and get to the point and give people value and information in this. Don't just get on and blab about how you went for ice cream and you had the thing, depending on who you're talking to, that, probably isn't going to be the information they want. But, every time you get on there, provide some sort of value and real information that your community wants. And the reason why is because you ask the right questions to find out what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when we are planning out our, as you said, like, we don't want to leave it to like chance or whenever we feel like updating our social channels is the time that we do so. We want to be sort of very strategic, right? About how we want people, as you said, it's sort of like a bit of a show, right? Like, so you're planning out your channel, like your HBO, where you go, okay, these days this series comes out, or, once a month I interview on this day, or here's when Q&A Tuesdays are, whatever it is that you add onto your plan. Now, for people who are like, okay, I have been a bit sporadic, I have sort of just put out whatever I feel like, what do they need to start really thinking about when they're structuring that content plan, that strategy of what they need to be doing on their channels? Like, how consistent should they be with, live stream, for example? How many? Does it make sense that there's sort of, some best practices here? But what would you sort of say to a client if you're working with them when that sort of that new content plan and strategic plan of how they approach what they share and how they share it in their social media platforms?
Yeah, so I would say, when you're starting out, it's actually a good idea to have a bit of a content plan. So rather than just kind of winging it and, every couple of days you put up some posts, you actually can plan it out, like even as simple as in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever works for you, but just find some way to be able to plan ahead, even if it's just like 2 weeks ahead of what you're going to be plugging in. And so say, for example, Facebook, even, I would say you have the times and you say, okay, I'm going to post, say, 3 times a day, and I'm going to post at this time, and this time. And the way you choose the times is you actually go into your Facebook analytics and you see when your followers are online the most. There's really easy, like Facebook provides all this kind of tools. Instagram provides all these kind of tools for you to see this stuff. So you go in and you're quite strategic with that, but you think about what is going to provide the most value to your audience. And I would say if you're doing live streams, like no less, like I'd say do at least once a week and probably choose a day and a time that's consistent as much as possible. Which isn't to say you can't do off the cuff things or, pop in and, again, think about this like your friends. Like this is your community, it's people that you want to talk to. So you don't want to be so rigid that it's like, oh, I really want to talk about that thing, but it's not Wednesday at 9 a.m. so I can't do it live. Yeah. Like if you're walking and talking, people appreciate that. But I think that to have the, basically a plan, and then you can fill in the slots between that with whatever feels, in the moment or authentic, or if you just, really would like to have a conversation or answer a question someone's asked, then obviously you can do that. But then I think you need to be strategic about what you're sharing and when. So it needs to provide value, but it also needs to be something that really think about it from their side, from their perspective. So you may find this really valuable, like this article that you read on whatever, but what if it takes like 10 minutes to read the article? Like, I really want to be respectful of my people's time. So I put up, like, say, the link to the article and maybe a quick summary. Like, be selective about how you present the information. Like I said, you have to do a bit of the work for the people. So here's this great article. Here's why. Like, don't be bossy and say, here's an article, read it. You know, I'm being told all the time, all these different channels to do this, comment here, like this, do the thing. Why should I read it? I trust your opinion as an expert. Tell me why you found it valuable. And then I'll get to the, you know, I'll have a read of it maybe later, but I'm going to mark this for later to come back to it. So, you know, the actual content that you're sharing, I don't think is like, I don't think there's a formula of share a video, share a link, share a, you know, post. There can be, because I don't think you want to be doing link, you know, blog. People get sick of seeing that. This shows up on my feed, and it's just, if I went to Heather's page and it was just article, I'm kind of bored. Right. So in that sense, you need to be careful about the pattern of what you're presenting, and you need to make sure that, you know, in a day, if you're sharing 3 posts, make sure they're all different kind of styles of posts. But the content of it is really more about what's going to be valuable to your people. And if that is an article that takes 10 minutes to read, just explain why that is. And then do a live video, and then maybe have, you know, your blog post or whatever it is. But just be, I think sometimes people just are forgetful that we see it from this side as a business owner, and I'm putting out information. Oh, I should share this. Oh, I should put that up. Oh, I should do whatever. But from this side as a consumer, I see this in a sequential order coming down your feed. So if you've just shared 3 articles in a row, that might be really valuable information, but I'm already starting to kind of check out. And I think, okay, I'll come back to those later. So it's about keeping people's attention and being really clear about the value and the purpose of what you're sharing. And being strategic in the sense that you don't want to be sharing 50 things a day, because I don't want to bombard people and burn my audience. But if you're only posting, say, once a day or once every other day, I might quickly forget about you. Right. So I would say depending on the number of people on your page, a minimum of twice a day, and up to, say, about 4 times a day, you know, you could be posting on your page. So again, just keep it so that it's each of the things that you're posting isn't the same as the one before it. Is really what I tell people. So just be careful about posting the same thing in a row over and over and over again.
Yeah, and also, you know, especially during times like a sales week, or you're launching something, or you know, whatever may be going on, you're not wanting to bombard people with just sales messages all the time, right? Give like nice sandwich of like, give value, right? And value is in the form of things like free training, live streams, you know, answering questions for free, right? Really showing off your expertise. Yeah. And giving people a taster, because it's like, you can go buy this, buy that, but unless you actually show them, here's a little taster of what it feels like to be part of a paid program or a paid thing, they're really not actually going to be able to see themselves in that paid world, you know, of like investing in a 1-year program with you, or a retreat with you, or whatever it is that you do. They need to imagine themselves as part of your community, as part of these conversations, even before they buy, right? So that becomes, so if that thing is free and it's really valuable, then it's sort of interesting for them to go, okay, if this free thing is so engaging and so valuable, I can't wait to get the paid thing, because that must be really, really good, you know? So give people that brand experience before they buy, so that actually is sprinkled. Brand all the time, from your emails to your social channels, right? To your discovery calls that you really give people. Yeah. All right. Last question for you before, I can't believe we've almost been talking for almost an hour. There's so much, I mean, storytelling, and we need to get you back for like how to be a better storyteller. Probably like, I already can see this being the next, you know, piece of training from you. It's like, great, I want to tell better stories. How? Because not everyone's a great storyteller. They can be quite formal, right, in the way they engage. But I do want to ask one last question between me and you before we go into some questions that were submitted or any questions that people have here. So people, if you're here live, get your questions ready so that we can actually do that Q&A round for you and give you really personal advice about what you need to be doing for how you build your list, your community, and how to engage your audience. But my last question for you, Heather, is really, what is your viewpoint? What's your perspective around this new future of social media and community building? What does this look like? Because, you know, not that long ago, people were, you know, advising digital business owners to like build that list to like thousands, 100,000 people to be able to get this automated community that will buy a bunch of stuff from you all the time and watch your PayPal account just ding, 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 ding. And we sort of fell for that. We're like, okay, big list equals, you know, successful digital business. We were also taught some old myths and, old advice that is sort of like, mine for clicks, right? We have so many third-party apps of like, how do you get, grow your Instagram followers till 20,000 people? And it's just anyone, really. Yeah. It's sort of this like trickery way of mining for likes or mining for attention that I don't really truly believe in, because that's sort of a lot of quantity, but actually not quite a bit of quality. And actually it costs you money sometimes, especially in your email list, to host actually a large amount of people when they're actually not even responding and they're not the right people. So you're actually paying for them to sit there, which to me sounds completely ridiculous. But also, I think as small business owners, sometimes we don't have the budgets to put things into Google ads and Facebook ads. So, how's that going to change the way that we use social media, maybe on an organic level, in order to build our first initial, maybe, 500 or 1,000 person community? But if you could sort of reinvent the rules a little bit for the future of social media, the future of community building, what would you then say is the new focus?
Engagement. So I would say, it's got to be engagement. So even I've had the experience already, even in this short time I've been doing this, being approached by recruiters that have come to me and said, okay, do you want to work for this brand? And then they say to me, show us the pages and show us where you've got the likes to. Like, show us how you've increased the numbers on the pages. And I just want to say, but what does that mean? That doesn't really mean anything. It's like, like the popularity contest in high school. Like, are they really your friends? So I really want to start changing the conversation around this and saying it's not about the numbers. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality. So I would say social media is our marketing. It's our conversations. It's our connection. It's our communities. It's everything. So if you're going to be authentically using it, you have to be prepared to put the time in. Stop expecting quick wins. Stop expecting big numbers that's going to equate to a lot of revenue. Stop expecting that everybody's buying everything, because they're not. We, like I've said many times, as consumers, we have the luxury of being really selective now. So these days, people are on to all the tricks and the gimmicks. I mean, how many times have you been following someone and they say, "Hey, come to my free webinar," and you're like, "Yeah, this is amazing." And how many times did you have to watch a free webinar before you realized you're getting pitched to at the end? We're all onto this. We're catching on to the tricks. So I would say, for moving forward, I'd really like people to understand that social media is the long game. There's not a lot of quick wins that you're going to get if you really want truly engaged, authentic people. Social media is a tool. It's a platform for communication and connection. It's not a money waterfall, necessarily. Sure, there's lots of people and examples out there we can point to, the people who have maybe done something, but I can guarantee it's a short-term thing. It's not sustainable. And the people that have bought those are kind of one and done. You want to be developing relationships with these people that are going to create raving ambassadors for your brand, for your business, for your service, for your product, whatever it might be, because then they're going to go and spread that word for you. Right. Got to remember, social media is a platform. It's a tool, but it's not the only means to an end about how you're going to get your message out there. Right. So I think that really just being prepared to put the time and the energy in to get to know your audience, to get to know what they really find valuable, to be able to share that, to be consistent, to show up every week on your whatever channel you've chosen to use, and understand that people are coming to you because they trust you, or they want to trust you, or they want to get to know you better. So don't abuse that through, I don't even know, just like we said before, like constantly pitching your product to them. You want to come to a place that is going to provide value outside of that as well, so that you're going to want to trust that person more, so that when it does come time to opening up your wallet and spending the money with them, you feel really good about it because you trust what they're giving you. And I really, really, really want people to understand that this is not about not selling things. I'm all for us making money online. I'm all for us sharing our expertise through online platforms, the internet, whatever. Yeah. But I want people that are going to be coming back to me again and again and again. This is not, I just want to buy your e-course and then go off into the sunset. This is something I want to develop a relationship with these people. And if you don't want to do that, then, that's a whole other conversation. We'll, talk about that later. But if for people like us, people in the academy, people in Screw the Cubicle, we're all looking to develop these service-based businesses, whether we're selling a product or a service or whatever. But it's about connection, and it's just using social media as the tool, as the platform to develop those connections. It's marketing, it's all the rest of it, but it's a way for us to help more people, really, is what it is. It's about to reach more people and help more people.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things like the technical side of things. I definitely say get yourself up to speed on how the social channel you're using. Find out how to best leverage, like, you know, the tools and stuff that channel has provided to you. Organic reach is good. You might have to look into you might have to invest a bit of money in some stuff. I'm not saying you can do this entirely, you know, for free necessarily, but it doesn't have to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. It can cost $5 a day, you know, for a little while. But that's, again, another conversation. So I think just educate yourself, understand the channel you're using, understand the audience you're speaking to, and really understand as a business person the value that you're providing to the people and how you can best do that through the tool of social media.
Yeah, excellent. And everyone can do this at any stage of their business, really. But it's just like you said, right? Focusing on the right thing that really matters and growing it that way, rather than trying to like hack your way right into it, which I think is much harder to try to learn something externally than actually get grounded and sort of go, what do I really want to get out of this? Because at the end of the day, you're the producer of the show, right? You are the manager of your own channels. Like, if you're taking on video when you actually fucking hate video, you know, like, then it's not going to work.
Don't do it,
because you're not going to be that person. You know, if you're sort of more of a interviewer, you love hosting, you love connecting people, like, do it in that format where actually, you know, your live streams are more interviews, or you invite people to have a chat with you. Like, chat shows are one of my favorite things to do. I don't even really prepare for them that much because it's such a great conversation, and I think that's my style. You know, it's never going to be this sort of like very formal approach, right, in how we teach and how we share that information. So adapt to the techniques and the strategies that work for your personality, that work for your style of communication, right? And works for your personality. Some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, some people are ambiverts, and God knows how many more acronyms and terms there are, right? You are HSP, right? Or whatever you are. There is a way of approaching this that works for you. And if you're not sure what that is, I'm always saying, go and look outside and go, who do I admire? Who do I like? Who do I enjoy getting my social media fix from? If there's someone that you like being a customer of, being a follower of, there's techniques that they're using or an approach they're doing in their social media that really jives with you. And actually the answer is right there, right? You just have to sort of, you know, do it, but B, also decide that is just who you are and you're not going to try to be someone else, right?
Stop following the trends.
Totally. Stop following the trends, because every trend works, but not everything will work for you. And you should be very mindful, right, about who you are and how you want to show up on a visible level in your business. Okay, great. So let's do a quick round of Q&A so that we can answer some questions. I've posted some that have come by email because I have a feeling people are like stuck in traffic and they'll watch this later, sort of in the evening, getting out of work time in the Pacific time zone here. But if any of you guys are still here with us on the live stream, do enter in your question either in the chat box or in the ask a question menu. But we've got 3 questions that came in by email that Heather, and we'll just sort of read them out now. So I'll timestamp them and you can come back into them if we answered your question, and also if you want to go back into the questions that will be relevant to yours as well. So the first question here, Heather, is from Tina. She said, what tips do you have to build an audience from scratch on Facebook, and how to engage them when it's small numbers to begin with?
Yes. Good question, because everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So the best tips I can give are, again, just sharing value. So that is going to mean getting off your own, say, Facebook page or your channel and using the social platform you're on, say, Facebook, to network, basically. So if you're in other groups, if you're following other pages, find ways to contribute value to those groups or to those people, to start to make a name for yourself. So lots of people now are in Facebook groups for various, you know, things, whether it's because you purchased a product or it's, you know, all the female travelers in Asia or, you know, whatever it is. Join groups that are within your kind of your market or what you're talking about or the people that you want to help, and be a member of those groups, be part of those communities, and be a person that adds value to those communities. So do not get in there and start pitching and, like, you know, your sales thing or your blog or please don't do that, because you're going to piss off everybody on the internet. And a lot of times people now are really protective of their groups. So I realize, like, you know, there's lots of times where like that kind of stuff is even banned. You're not allowed to go in and talk about that. So again, another live stream that we'll do some other time. But go in and just offer value. So when you're trying to get your page seen or your channel, whatever it might be, seen, you're going to have to do what I call like neighborhood networking. So going into other pages, liking other pages, sharing other people's content, commenting in groups, offering value, whatever way you can. It's something that is going to take time and it's going to take effort. But it is something, once you've done it and people start to kind of catch on to who you are and what kind of value you're offering, they're going to come and check out your page or, your blog or, whatever it is. So, again, like with everything, there's a lot of front end, time and effort you need to put in, but it pays off in the long run because that's an authentic way to get your message and your name, out there. What was the second part of your question?
And how do I engage my sort of new Facebook page or a group when it's small numbers to begin with?
Yeah, so I would say this is a great position to be in because you can then start to build your page in a way that's going to be really valuable to the people that are there. So I would say just start having conversations, like get on there and in your status update, say on Facebook, ask a question. Even on Instagram, you can do that. On YouTube, you can do that. Ask them what they'd like to see. Ask them what they're struggling with this week. Ask them what their, big win is. Ask people where they're from. Get to know them. Let them get to know you. Ask them what they'd like to see. Yeah. Like just say, what's useful to you? Do you want to see, I can write a blog post on this. Do you want me to do a live video on this? Do you want me to find someone who can come and talk about this? What's useful to you guys? You're here. You came for a reason. Let's help each other. And so I would say, just be really authentic. Like really think about this. Like you've invited these people over to your house and they're now sitting in your living room and you're getting to know them. You've just all met at, through some group or, whatever. Just be real about it. Like try not to feel like you need to be an expert in everything and like constantly churning out information because you're also going to burn that audience as well. If it's not relevant to them, we have the choice to just go, I'm going to unfollow that page and go somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a small group, it's a really great opportunity to have authentic conversations because chances are they're going to want people tend to be more engaged or more likely to speak up when it's a smaller number.
It's very true. Yeah. And you can use a small group, Tina, to practice, right? What it is going to be your content plan. What it is going to be your strategy to show up for this page.
Test it.
And it's actually less daunting when you have small numbers because then, you're not, but there's 1,000 people here and I can't fuck it up. Where it's like, if it's 10 or 20 to start, that's fine. And maybe 2 of them are your parents. Like that's okay too, but just get out there and get into the vicinity of that practice of just being out there and showing up. Right? Which is the hardest thing to do when you first start. So if you did that and commit to it, at least for the first 30 days of like really going for it and committing to starting your channels, but do it consistently, right? Do it with intent. And I think that's going to really work out for you. And a quick little tip as well, Tina, as Heather said about Facebook groups, that's a really good way to sort of piggyback on an audience that would have, some people for you that might join. And read the rules of the group, right? Knowing when you can promote things and when you should be, what are the rules of that community, and read that just to be courteous and have good etiquette, right? When you join someone's community. But then when you do respond to things, right? When you give that value that Heather talked about, answering questions, sharing insight, sharing a resource you made for your audience, but you can share it in the group. Make sure that, because when people look at something and someone likes what you post, they will click on your profile. And when they click on your profile, that's a really great way to lead them into your Facebook page or your Facebook group that you started, because it's either going to be on the banner of your timeline or it's going to be at the about section right underneath your photo of where you work and which page belongs to you. So they're going to click on that. I do that all the time whenever I see someone awesome in a Facebook group I'm in, and I'm like, oh, it's this woman. And I just click, and then I see, then I look at her pages, and then if I like her, I would join, and like her page. So make that journey easy for your customers to find you. And it's never always in the promotional post. Sometimes it's actually from people clicking on your profile. So make sure that your assets, like your timeline banner or the link to your Facebook page or your group, is really present, right? And when people explore your profile. Okay. Thanks, Tina, for that great question. All right. Second question for Heather, from Mike by email. How do I make my live streams more fun and something my audience looks forward to weekly? What's your answer on that, Heather?
Yeah, I would say make sure your live streams have a purpose, and make sure that purpose is to answer a question or address something from the group. So make sure that they're always relevant to the people that you're sharing them with. Like I said before, getting on and saying what you had for dinner and what you did, whatever, is obviously not relevant. So ask questions in the group, ask people what you want, and also be listening. So as the conversations are happening on your page or in your group, you'll very quickly start to pick up on, commonly asked questions or themes or patterns or whatever, and you use those as a topic for your streams, for your live streams, and to answer a question and provide some sort of value.
Right.
And I would also say, keep them as like, I don't want to scare everybody off and say your live streams have to be 30 seconds and you have to get all your information in, because nobody has an attention span anymore. But, don't keep them too long. Don't try to like ramble on and on, like plan them to the point where you can answer the question, provide some value, and then provide the next steps for them, either a call to action or what you'd like them to do, or continue the conversation. Maybe what's the next part of that? Ask them to comment in the comments. Try to get engagement and try to have a way for people to want to carry on that conversation, but also be engaged in the conversation you're having. Yeah. So even on the live stream, you can say to people, so this is what's come up. This is what I'm going to talk about today. Comment in the comment below. Like, have you struggled with this, or what have you found, or what have you done? Like, share what you tips. Like, anything. People want to share. People want to be part of that conversation, that connection. So don't be afraid to ask people to engage. Sometimes people just need to be prompted. So and commenting is better than just liking. If you're just looking for likes on your live stream,
that's a really a real behavior.
Yeah. And it's not really a lot of, and even like a little tip just to tell everybody, like Facebook itself favors comments over likes. So if you're trying to grow the organic reach of your posts, if you're doing a live stream, from your business page, ask people to comment rather than just even like, because if you get a lot of comments, that's going to expand the reach of the organic reach of your posts. So Facebook is truly trying to foster conversation.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, for sure. And I think also, as you said, to just be yourself, right, on that live stream, and people can know that you're comfortable. And be consistent, so they know when you're coming up. And I love the idea of answering questions. So you might have an auto post that goes out every Friday that prompts your community to like answer a question, give you what do you want answered for you in our Q&A for next week. So you're gathering questions ahead of time, and when that activates, and you can automate that using Buffer or Hootsuite, right? Whatever your choice. Or just scheduling them directly on your Facebook page will help you to have that part automated, but you go live, right, for that Q&A, and it's very relevant to the questions that are being asked. Awesome. Great. Last question for you, Heather, and then we'll make sure that people know where to find you as well to learn more about your work and what you can help with. So Angela emails this question: how do I streamline my efforts with my social media? I find it takes time for little return.
Interesting. Okay. I would say probably then reevaluate the content you're sharing. Right. If by not a lot of return, are you saying like, there's not a lot of engagement and stuff, I'm assuming. In which case then maybe you need to reevaluate what you're sharing and go back to your community and your audience and find out why that's not hitting the mark, and then find out what they're looking for. Because maybe nobody wants to spend a lot of time doing something that's not giving you any return in any capacity. So, I mean, definitely there's probably something that's a little bit of a disconnect then maybe between what you're sharing and what the audience is getting from it. And then also I would say this is how I try to work. So I try to batch the work. So, I manage lots of, different accounts, and I try to set aside, like this morning, I'm just working on this account. I'm going to get all the Facebook posts for the next, week or 2 weeks or whatever up and ready to go, and scheduled in. And I use the schedulers for everything. So Facebook, use the native scheduler through Facebook, and then the rest of your channels, you can use a third party's scheduler. And really, I mean, I think the truth is if you're putting out authentic, and relevant information, it can't be a copy and paste thing. So it will take time to develop these posts and maybe write up a thing or find the content. So there's a lot of tends to be a lot of upfront kind of work that needs to get put into this. But once you get it automated and scheduled for, say even 2 weeks at a time or a week at a time, whatever you can start with, that'll help starting to lighten the workload every week. So I'd say for one, maybe double check on what you're sharing and see if the value's there, and maybe see if you can get some feedback, and maybe you need to change either how you're sharing it. Maybe if it's a blog post, it needs to be a live stream. Maybe if it's this, it needs to be something else. And then two, I would just try to batch it and see if you can schedule things for, at least a week ahead of time, and try not to do too much. I mean, there's no need to be posting 10 times a day on your page, I don't think. So maybe the amount of stuff you're putting out is taking up a lot of time as well. I mean, I'd need a bit more information maybe to find out exactly what you're doing. But I would say be really selective about what you're posting, make sure it's relevant to your audience, and then try to batch it so that you can get things scheduled ahead of time. So at least, you know, kind of 80 to 90% of the stuff going up on your page is automated to a point, and then it leaves some, you know, options for in the moment posting for things that seem relevant when they come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And also more points to Heather's awesome advice is that how you can streamline your efforts as well is go deep into your content rather than going wide. So what I mean by that is that you're not just posting a bunch of random things that sort of don't match your link. So let's say you have a blog post going out for the week, right? And you're like, okay, I can either just share the link for this blog post and it's the end for this post, or I can really plan out that for the next 5 days to get more people to look at this blog post, I want to come up with 5 creative ways that I can post different things about this blog post. So for example, one of them could be, you know, where you live stream for 5 minutes, right? Or 2 minutes, a quick preview about what that blog post is about, why it's important to read it, and then a link to the blog post. Another, you know, post could potentially be like, here's sort of 5 reasons why. So you pick out like maybe, you know, some extracts or excerpts from your blog post and actually share that summary, right? About why they should actually click to read the whole article. Or it could be like a mistake that people make. And that's why this article is really relevant to help them see things differently. Like, however, you can sort of repurpose that content on your social media, but come at it at different angles, then you're going to do more, right? To engage more viewership into things like blog posts instead of just like one-time post and hopefully someone saw it. Because the thing with Facebook, right, unless you do ads, right, it's some people may not see it at all. So you have to sort of do it a few times. So if you're doing sort of one post per action every single time, that could be also the reason, you know, for your, you know, feeling like there's so much effort and nothing is returning for what you actually want your viewers to do, Angela. So go deep rather than wide, right? And then streamline by batching your effort, as Heather said, and then having a plan so that you know, right, what you are doing every single time. That's also going to release a lot of pressure and this sort of thinking on your feet the whole time, right? Figuring out what inspiring things I should be posting about today, and actually just taking half a day, you know, in the beginning of every month and planning that out for the month, right? It's going to be a lot easier for you. Thank you for that question, Angela. Very relevant. All right. Thank you, Heather, for giving us such wonderful insight on how to build better online communities. Now, where can people find you when it comes to learning more about what you do, getting tips from you, maybe it's on your Facebook page, or hiring you for helping them with their social media challenges and so that they can build more authentic connections with their audience?
So you can find me a few places. You can find me just on Facebook through my personal profile with Heather Pollock.
Yeah.
You can find me at my business page, which is Desk and Design on Facebook.
Yep.
And that's probably the 2 quickest places to find me. Yeah. So feel free to contact me either one. My personal profile is perfectly fine to contact me as well. So send me a friend request or send me a message. I'm totally up for that.
Excellent. We have posted Heather's Facebook page link on the Crowdcast chat box here. So come say hello to her. Hugely inquisitive and curious about how people are running their communities, building their communities, what they hate seeing as a consumer and a follower. So she asked a lot of questions. If you want to see how Heather is asking questions, is sort of like sharing some great work that some of the people that she's admired, you know, do that work, or she herself is supporting other business owners and want to share examples. I think that is a great Facebook page to follow, and also someone that I think is very helpful in this space of sort of new innovative ideas about how we re-engage communities and doing it holistically. It doesn't have to be this complicated way of doing it. And someone that's starting out, even if you're not a social media, you know, like full on certified, blah, blah, blah person, you can do this. You just have to actually show up as yourself. Like that is actually the hardest part, but the easiest thing when you finally accept that and not try to be like anyone else, right? Thank you everyone for joining us live and of course watching the replay. You can always email us. We're going to email you the replay if you signed up for this live stream and this training with Heather. So you can always actually just hit reply on that replay email, there's any questions for Heather, we're going to make sure to forward that to her, that she can connect with you individually. We also always love hearing what people get out of the replay when we haven't yet checked this page, right? About what happens in conversation after the replay. Terima kasih, Kyle and Hisit from Malaysia as well. They're in there. Heather's in KL as an expat. We have lots of people from that side of the world this morning for you. And please let us know, share your own stories about your social media journeys in our Facebook page where you saw the live stream for this training. Share it with us by email. We would love to learn more about what we can support you on, because we would like to have Heather back and make sure that we deep dive into something really cool. So is it about live streams that you want to learn about? Is it about, words that you should be using? Is it about like how you show up on video? Like what it is that you want to learn, we can deep dive into that and laser focus on that for other trainings that we can hope to get Heather into. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, this is, I think we have 10 more days, or 10 or 11, depending on which time zone you're in, left before we close the doors for the Academy. Heather is a student of the Academy as well from cohort 1. You'll meet her in some of the public stuff we do with both cohorts this year. But it really is an intimate place for you to test ideas, this is in a way part of our agenda, right, Heather? We're like giving you a platform to actually share your work, so that you're not like, oh my God, I have to learn how to do webinars and do this and build this audience really quickly. Like we can give that to you, and we love sharing talent. So part of being a student and a participant of the Academy allows you to work with us, where we can showcase some of your talent in what we call this sort of green room experience, right? Where you can test out your content, test out your ideas, share your work as we do it together. And then I get to sit here and host it, which is my favorite thing to do as well, and let someone else take the reins for the meantime. But really, we use the collective intelligence of community to give feedback, to find customers, right? To really get things confident for you before you release it out to the public. And I think a lot of people need that confidence booster and community to do some very scary, right, but exciting things that we want to do when it comes to career transitions, business building, right, and lifestyle changes. So check it out on the button below to look at the Academy page and book a call to talk to me. It's a free call. It's for me to get to know you, for me to invite you personally if you are indeed a good fit for the community. But either way, whether you join or not, you will get some really full strategic advice to at least move you forward if you don't the Academy. Thank you so very much to our special guest, Heather, time to educate us. And we hope to hear from you about your social media woes and how we can help you in our next live streams with Heather. And hopefully we get you back for more chat and talk in our Tribe Talk. Thanks, Heather.
You, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone, or night. See you later. Bye.
Bye.